Something brought you to this moment. Perhaps the day has barely begun and your mind is already racing with worries you cannot silence. Perhaps your heart feels heavy with questions about the future, situations you cannot control, or burdens you have been carrying quietly for too long. Anxiety has a subtle way of entering the mind. It does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it comes through restless thoughts late at night. Sometimes through the fear of what tomorrow may bring. Sometimes through a quiet pressure inside the chest that refuses to leave. But listen carefully to this truth. Your presence here right now may not be random. God often reaches the human heart in the quietest moments. When the mind feels overwhelmed and the soul begins to search for peace, His voice draws closer. The Bible reminds us in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, "Cast all your anxiety on Him, because He cares for you." This is not only a verse to read, it is an invitation to release what you were never meant to carry alone. Right now, allow this moment to become a sacred pause, a moment where the noise inside your mind begins to slow down, a moment where your heart remembers that God is near, even in the middle of uncertainty. And as we move forward, something important is about to happen. Because the first step to freedom from anxiety begins when you recognize a quiet truth many people overlook. God is already speaking to your heart, even in the middle of your anxiety. The whisper of God in the middle of anxiety. There are moments when anxiety becomes so loud that it feels impossible to hear anything else. Thoughts move quickly from one worry to another. Questions appear with no answers. The heart becomes restless, searching for stability in a world that often feels uncertain. Yet in the middle of this internal noise, something remarkable happens. God does not compete with the chaos of anxious thoughts. He speaks in a different way. His voice comes quietly, gently reaching the deepest part of the human soul. Many people expect God to speak through dramatic signs or overwhelming experiences, but often He chooses a softer path, a calm awareness, a subtle sense of being seen, a quiet reassurance that forms inside the heart when everything else feels unstable. You may not realize it, but the very fact that you stopped to listen to this message could already be part of that whisper. When the soul becomes tired of fear, it begins to search for peace. And when that search becomes sincere, God draws near. Scripture reveals this beautiful truth in 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 11 to 12, where the prophet Elijah did not find God in the powerful wind, the earthquake, or the fire. God revealed Himself in a gentle whisper. In the same way, God often approaches the anxious heart with calm rather than force. His presence does not increase the noise, it quiets it. But there is something that prevents many people from experiencing that peace, a hidden struggle that slowly drains the strength of the soul, and that struggle is what we will uncover next. When the soul grows tired of carrying everything alone, there comes a moment when the human soul simply becomes exhausted, not the kind of tiredness that sleep can fix, but a deeper weariness that forms when the heart has been carrying too much for too long. Many people wake up already feeling the weight of responsibilities, expectations, unanswered questions, and fears about the future. Anxiety often begins quietly in this place. It grows when the mind starts believing that everything depends on personal strength. The pressure to solve every problem, control every outcome, and anticipate every possible danger slowly builds inside the heart. At first, the person believes they are being responsible. They think they are protecting their life by thinking about everything that could go wrong. But over time, that constant effort begins to drain the soul. The mind becomes restless. The body becomes tense. The heart loses its sense of peace. Jesus spoke directly to this burden in Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 30, when He said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." These words reveal something profound. The weariness many people feel was never part of God's design for the human heart. The truth is simple but powerful. There are burdens that were never meant to be carried alone. When the soul tries to hold everything by itself, anxiety becomes almost inevitable. Yet God never asked you to face life in isolation. His invitation has always been the same. Bring the weight, bring the fear, bring the uncertainty. And here is where an important realization begins to emerge. Many people believe their anxiety comes from their problems, but often it comes from something deeper. The belief that everything must be controlled. That belief is what keeps the heart trapped in constant tension. And understanding this opens the door to a completely different way of living. The illusion of control and the divine invitation to trust. Anxiety often hides behind a powerful belief that many people carry without noticing. The belief that if they think enough, plan enough, and worry enough, they will somehow gain control over what is uncertain. The mind starts working endlessly, trying to predict outcomes, prevent problems, and secure a future that no human being can fully manage. At first, this effort feels like protection. The mind believes it is being responsible. But over time, this constant need to control everything begins to create tension inside the soul. Every unknown situation becomes a threat. Every delay becomes a source of fear. Every unanswered question becomes a reason for worry. This is where anxiety quietly grows stronger. Not because life is impossible, but because the heart begins to carry responsibilities that belong to God. The Bible speaks clearly about this in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. These words reveal a different path for the human heart. God never asked you to control every outcome. He invites you to trust the one who already sees what lies ahead. Trust does not mean ignoring reality. It means recognizing that your life is not guided only by your strength, your plans, or your understanding. There is a divine hand working quietly beyond what your eyes can see. When the heart releases the illusion of control, something remarkable begins to happen. The mind slowly loosens its grip on fear. The soul starts to breathe again. The weight that once felt unbearable begins to lift. And this realization prepares the heart for something even deeper. Because the moment you stop trying to control everything, you create space for something powerful to enter your life. The presence of God. The encounter between anxiety and the presence of God. When anxiety fills the mind, it often feels as if peace has disappeared completely. Thoughts become loud, the heart beats faster, and the future begins to look uncertain and unstable. In moments like these, many people try to escape their anxiety by distracting the mind or searching for temporary relief. But there is a deeper answer that God offers to every anxious heart: His presence. The presence of God does not always remove every problem instantly. Instead, it changes the atmosphere inside the soul. What once felt overwhelming begins to lose its power. The storm around you may still exist, but something inside you begins to calm down. This is why the scriptures repeatedly invite people to draw near to God during moments of fear and distress. Psalm chapter 46 verse 1 declares that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. These words reveal that God's presence is not distant. It is available in the exact moment when the heart feels most fragile. Many people underestimate what happens when they pause and turn their attention toward God. In that moment, the anxious mind begins to slow down. The heart that felt alone starts to sense comfort. The soul remembers that it is not abandoned in the middle of its struggle. Right now, something important is about to happen. You are not only listening to words, you are approaching a moment where your heart can release what it has been holding. This is where prayer becomes more than a religious act. Prayer becomes a doorway where anxiety meets the peace of God. And in the next moment, we will step into that prayer together. The prayer of surrender that liberates the mind. Now take a moment to slow down your thoughts and bring your attention to God. Anxiety often fills the mind with questions, fears, and images of situations that have not even happened. Prayer interrupts that cycle and redirects the heart toward the one who holds every moment of your life. Right now, speak to God with sincerity. Lord, you see everything that is happening inside my mind. You know the worries that return again and again. You know the fears about the future and the questions that I cannot answer on my own. Today I bring these thoughts before you. I surrender every burden that has been filling my mind with anxiety. I release the need to understand everything. I release the pressure to control what only you can guide. Your word reminds us in Philippians chapter 4 verses 6-7 that we should not be anxious about anything, But in every situation, through prayer and thanksgiving, we should present our requests to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard our hearts and our minds. Right now I place my worries in your hands. Replace the noise inside my mind with your peace. Replace the fear with confidence in your care. Guard my thoughts, Lord. Calm the storm inside my heart. Remind me that my life is not guided by fear, but by your faithful presence. As this prayer settles in your heart, something begins to change. Anxiety slowly loses its hold when the soul learns to release its burdens to God. And what comes next is the beautiful result of that surrender, the peace God plants in an anxious heart. Something begins to change when the heart truly releases its burdens to God. The circumstances around you may not immediately transform, but the atmosphere within you starts to shift. The mind that was racing begins to slow down. The heart that felt tight with fear starts to breathe again. This is the peace that God promises to those who trust Him. It is not a fragile peace that depends on everything going perfectly. It is a deeper peace that grows from the certainty that God is present, guiding every step even when the path ahead is not fully visible. Many people search for peace by trying to solve every problem first. They believe that calm will only come after every situation is fixed. But God works in the opposite direction. His peace often arrives before the answers appear. Isaiah chapter 26 verse 3 reveals this powerful truth. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. This promise shows that peace is not produced by perfect circumstances. It is produced by trust. When trust begins to take root in the heart, anxiety slowly loses its authority. The fears that once dominated the mind start to fade. The future no longer feels like a threat but becomes a journey guided by God's faithful hand. Right now, allow that peace to settle inside you. Let your heart remember that God is working in ways you cannot always see. Even in moments of uncertainty, His care remains constant. And there is one final truth that every anxious heart needs to hear, a truth that changes how you face tomorrow. When the heart discovers it is no longer alone, there's a moment when something profound settles inside the heart. The anxiety that once felt overwhelming begins to lose its power, not because every problem disappeared, but because a deeper truth becomes clear. You are not facing life alone. Many people spend years believing they must fight every battle by themselves. They carry their fears in silence, hide their worries behind a calm appearance, and try to appear strong, even when their soul feels exhausted. But the presence of God changes that reality completely. Scripture reminds us in Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 8 that the Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. This promise speaks directly to every heart that has felt abandoned in moments of fear and uncertainty. When the heart truly understands this truth, something powerful happens. The future no longer feels like a dark path that must be walked alone. Every step becomes accompanied by the faithful presence of God. The same God who knows your struggles, understands your fears, and sees the battles that others cannot see. Your worries are not ignored by heaven. Your prayers are not lost in silence. Every concern you placed before God in this moment has been heard. Carry this truth with you as you continue your day. The anxiety that once tried to dominate your mind does not define your future. God's presence walks beside you, guiding your steps, protecting your heart, and reminding you that peace is always possible when you place your life in His hands.